Hello everybody, my name is Nweze Jubilette, a public health nurse working at Health Visiting Unit of Community Medicine Department, University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital, Enugu. I am here to talk about a very sensitive health condition which we all know we experience every day, we see it here and there, and that is gastroenteritis. The name may sound so big, but it is what we know very well. What is it? Gastroenteritis simply talks about inflammation of the gastrointestinal tract, characterized by passage of watery stool, frequently associated with vomiting, and this leads to loss of fluid and electrolytes in the body. What causes it? The causative organisms are microorganisms like fungi, virus, bacteria, and some parasites. How do they pass it on onto human beings? You can easily get it by ingestion of contaminated food or water, or consuming improperly cooked food, especially meat and some seafoods, and also coming in close contact with somebody that is already infected. That is how you get it. So, for somebody that has it, what do you see on the person? I want to talk about the signs and symptoms. Initially, I said it is characterized by frequent passage of watery stool for about 6 to 8 times in a day. And as the person is passing the watery stool, the person is losing water. Therefore, you see signs of dehydration on the person. It is also associated with abdominal cramps, severe abdominal cramps. Again, it's also associated with high fever. The person may start having feeling of unwell. The person feels severe weakness, general body weakness, any exertion on any little thing. And again, it's also associated with loss of appetite. Of course, for somebody that has been stooling and vomiting, there will inevitably be loss of appetite. Those are some of the signs and symptoms. And for dehydration that will result, dehydration, especially in younger children, is a very serious condition because there is a lot of loss of fluid, and this can be manifested by looking at the fontanelles of the baby's hair. You see them sunken, the eyes will be sunken, the skin will be cold and clammy to touch, and the skin will equally lose its elasticity. These are some of the signs of dehydration. So how do we manage gastroenteritis? The management of gastroenteritis, I am going to talk about it contrary to what we used to know, because previously you see people, when their child starts stooling, they will start looking for something to quench the stooling. No. We don't do that nowadays. The advice is that once you notice that your child is stooling and has stooled frequently for up to 5-6 times, the next thing you do as a mother is to prepare an oral rehydration solution, which is always available in any pharmacy shop. You dilute it with 1 liter of water and start giving the child while you quickly arrange to transport the child to the hospital. If the condition is very severe, the child may be admitted, and on admission, a lab test will be conducted to determine which organism is actually responsible. If it is caused by a virus, normally, for viruses, we will not say that this is exactly the antiviral drug to give. We manage the child based on the symptoms that the child presents. And then, if the cause is by a bacteria, the doctor may add antibiotics in the treatment of that baby. Equally, we give zinc supplementation. It is good to know that the aim of the management is to replace lost fluid and electrolyte so that the baby or whoever that is the patient here will regain his strength. Because once electrolytes are depleted from the body, you find the person going down. And if care is not taken, the person may go into shock, the one we call hypovolemic shock. Again, under management, you talk about the dietary intake because we try to replace lost fluid and nutrients, electrolytes equally. And some of these can be gotten from our diet. So you ensure that the person takes adequate diet and loss of fluid. The person is closely observed and monitored until he regains himself. And alongside, because there is always fever, don't you ensure that the person takes prescribed antipyretics to bring down the fever. And again, you increase the hygiene level of the person. You talk about food hygiene. Make sure that the person eats properly cooked meal, uncontaminated meal. And then the water, you take note of the source of water. If the source of water for drinking is not potable, please, anytime you get water, make sure you boil the water, allow it to cool, and then take it as your drinking water. And again, avoid close contact with anybody that is infected. It is worthy to note that some practices being done in our communities can lead to this condition, can predispose people to this gastroenteritis. What do I mean? Most communities do not have adequate waste disposal management, and some of them dump their waste in the river where people get their drinking water from, where people get the water they use for their vegetable farms, and by so those vegetables are contaminated. For that reason, the community should ensure that they have a better plan to manage their waste very well. They will have a way to make sure that people do not defecate in the river areas, and then make sure that people have good toilet systems so that they don't go to the rivers to defecate. It's also very important for us to know that the way we manage our vegetables and fruits is very important. It is good to wash our vegetables with salt and water very well several times before we cook. Even the common fruits we buy in the market, some people do not bother to wash their fruits. They may get any fruit in season and wash it maybe with their hands, they rub off dust and start eating. It's a very bad practice. So I want us to know that just like we wash our vegetables with salt and water, you wash your fruits equally with salt and water. And as we do all this, we will find out that we will limit the number of gastroenteritis cases we have in the hospital. Finally, remember that there are some practices that mothers do that expose their children to gastroenteritis. Some mothers kiss their babies, thereby transferring some organisms into the baby. And as a result of poor development, poor immunity of the baby, the child may get gastroenteritis. Also, mothers blow their children food to get it cool for them to feed their baby. The act of blowing over the food can introduce some microorganisms inside that food, and when the baby takes it, the baby might come down with gastroenteritis. Again, when we put our babies on our shoulder, maybe they are crying and the baby is hungry, you don't want to pay attention to that particular need, and suddenly the baby keeps quiet while the baby is licking your shoulder, the baby is licking dirt. So we should desist from such practices. And remember, we have a vaccine, rotavirus vaccine, for children to protect them from gastroenteritis caused by virus. We give it at 6 weeks and 10 weeks. And if you have not given it to your baby, please locate any health center around you. In UNTH, we give this vaccine at health visiting units. And if you have any question, please call us on the number on your screen. Whatever is your doubt or question will be cleared. Thank you for listening to me. Once again, I am Nweze Jubilette. Thank you very much.